another episode of Just My Opinion with Ryan. I'm yours truly, Ryan. For those who are returning, thank you for returning. Welcome back. If you're new here, please do me a huge favor. Hit that like and the subscribe button. Also hit that bell so you can be notified whenever a new video drops. With that being said, let's get into it. Talking about a movie that I saw over the weekend called Good Luck to You, Leo Grande. This stars seasoned veteran actress by the name of Emma Watson. And I'm not familiar with him, so I'm assuming he's young up-and-comer. But it also stars Daryl McCormick as the co-star. Emma Watson plays a woman who goes by the name of Nancy Stokes, even though that's not her real name. She goes by the name of Nancy Stokes, and she is a widow. Her husband fairly recently passed away, and she's trying to get her groove back, in a sense. Her husband was the only person she was ever intimate with, and according to Nancy, it was below average as far as the actual sex. There was no giving or receiving of oral sex. Just simply, bam, bam, thank you, ma'am, I'm gonna go to sleep. Therefore, her just experiencing years of marriage with no sexual satisfaction. So now that the husband has passed away, she wants to make up for lost time and get some of her groove back by hiring an escort. And this is where our co-star, Daryl McCormick, comes into play, also known as, you guessed it, Leo Grande. Leo Grande is a young but experienced escort, and he's here to help, in this case, Nancy get her groove back, not Stella. So the thing I like about this movie is it takes place in one location, a hotel. 95% of the movie takes place in a hotel room, and then like 5% of it takes place just like in the downstairs lobby area of the hotel. Reason why I like that, I feel like if you can knock out a very interesting, if you could tell an interesting story or knock out a movie and use one location, I say why not. Depending on the viewer, if you're not a fan of dialogue, then maybe a movie like that wouldn't be for you. But I like movies like this that could just get the job done in one location. You got this movie. You have Phone Booth. With Colin Farrell. More recently, Malcolm and Marie. That came out last year with John David Washington and Zendaya. So I feel like if you can tell a compelling story and just use one location, why not? But at the same token, those movies seem to be dialogue heavy. So if you're not into a lot of dialogue and maybe more action or more change of scenery, then maybe this movie wouldn't be for you. Because this, like I said, 95% of it is taking place in a hotel. And I think the overall message in this movie was just trying to, no matter what your age is, just trying to let people know it's okay to enjoy yourself. It's okay to enjoy sexual pleasure. You don't have to be ashamed of wanting to be pleased. And in this case, Emma Watson's character, even though she purposely hired this escort to try to, once again, get her groove back, even though she purposely hired this escort to do that, there's some type of shame that's coming along with it. She's frantic, she's so uptight, wound up. And this is when they first meet, obviously. When they first meet, she's wound up, her mind is racing like with 1,000 thoughts a minute. She feels ashamed, she feels embarrassed. Even though this escort is in the hotel room, there's a huge part of her that is still trying to talk herself out of it. And this is where the first dialogue heavy interaction takes place. It was more like a therapy session. Leo Grande spends the bulk, and granted, he is hired for 1 hour each time. But on each of these visits, he spends the bulk of the visit just trying to talk or trying to calm Nancy down and letting her know it's okay to let things happen and let's just knock it out. So And if you don't get it by now, this may have a few spoilers. So if you're interested in seeing this movie, you may want to stop it at this point moving forward. That should be enough time. So yeah, as I mentioned, during the first encounter, as I mentioned, that's when she's the most ashamed, the most embarrassed, the most trying to talk herself out of what's about to go down. And this character, Leo Grande, he's very patient. He can hold a conversation. He's not like some, mouth breather. I'm just here to go to Pound Town and I'm leaving. He's here to really get to know her, have, engaging conversation. Just try to calm her down, ease her nerves first before before she gets her groove back. And so that's what I liked about it. So the first encounter, they talked about a whole just variety of stuff. She wanted to know stuff like, does his mother approve of this line of work that he does? There's a conversation about should sex work even be legal? And they both agree that it should be legal. At one point, he's letting her know that, and I took this as a sign of not to kink shame, but he even just tried to ease her mind by letting her know some of the other stuff that he gets into with other clients. Nothing crazy or perverted, like, pardon me. For example, he shares with Nancy that one of his clients doesn't even want sex. They just simply watch movies and just cuddle or like hold hands. Yet there's another client who doesn't want to talk, just wants to have sex the moment that he enters the room. And he said he enjoys those sessions because it's like, 15 minutes worth of work, and then he still gets paid for that whole hour. And I think probably the most outrageous sounding client was a male client who just wants him to dress like a cat and just ignore him. But as I mentioned, his whole point was just to make Nancy feel comfortable and just to let her know that, everyone is into something different. And he only brought that up to let her know that, maybe you're not actually into sex. Because the first visit was the first session. They did end up having sex, and apparently it was good because she wanted him to come back. But the second time, same thing. The second meeting, she's trying to talk herself out of it. She still feels ashamed about wanting sex from a younger man, still feeling ashamed of actually wanting to feel pleasure. There's some type of shame or embarrassment with that. So he only brought up that example because he was like, maybe your thing is not to actually have sex. Maybe your thing is you just want someone just to talk to, and that's fine with it. So he was open-minded and down for whatever. And so they still end up having sex. All 4 sessions, they do have sex. Actually, it was even funny. On the second session, and she is a teacher, but the second session is like, she's like, yo, I made a list of everything that I sexually want to experiment and explore. It could sound simple to the more experienced people, but to her, all these things are just brand new adventures. She wants to experiment, giving oral sex. She wants to experiment with receiving oral sex. She wants to do a 69. She wants to do the cock. She wants to do all the things that sound basics to more experienced folks. But to her, this is brand new territory for somebody like her. So stuff like that was funny, and cute in a sense. Like, this woman is like, at least 15, actually more like 20, 25 years older than our young escort in the movie. So as I mentioned, I give it credit because I initially thought this was going to be predictable. I initially thought it was going to be like the updated remix version of how Stella got her groove back. I thought at some point one of them or maybe both of them was going to catch feelings, and then it'd be some cheeky, corny love story. But I was wrong, and I'm glad I was wrong. That wasn't the case at all. But I do feel like, like I think once again, I have no personal experience with this. Let me be clear. I have no personal experience with the whole escort thing. But, I guess a part of it is like, I would imagine that most people, when they hire an escort, they just want to maybe have, I don't know, 5-10 minutes at the max, a small talk. And then, hey, let's do what we came here to do. But as I mentioned, this movie is dialogue heavy. So every session it was like 25 to 30 minutes worth of dialogue. As I mentioned, whether it was about, and just about random conversation, whether it's about making sex work legal, your relationship with your parents, how do you handle disappointment from your parents, just all that type of stuff. But I say all that to say, I thought I predicted it right when Nancy wanted to get more personal information from Leo Grande, and she actually does violate a boundary by actually doing some like cyber stalking and finding out like his real name and things of that nature. Stuff like that is pretty whack, and that clearly got him upset, and that's kind of where the conflict, like every movie is supposed to have a conflict. That's pretty much where the conflict happens. It's like, damn, you're trying to find out my personal information. You want to try to talk my mom into persuading her about why sex work is okay. Different things like that. I don't want to give the whole movie away, but I did enjoy this movie. As I mentioned, I'm glad I was wrong about it not being so predictable. I'm glad I was wrong about it not being How Stella Got a Groove Back 2022, the interracial version. I highly recommend anyone to see this movie. I do think that the main message that this movie did a good job, by the way. I think the movie did a great job of just getting across those messages of it's okay to want to be pleasured. I feel like, whenever you see, whether it's pornography, whether it's a love scene in a movie or a show, it's always, as if the man is the one who's experiencing pleasure, when it should be a two-way street. It's okay for women to, enjoy sex. It's okay for women to receive pleasure, no matter how old you are. So I do think it was trying to get that message across, and also getting the message across that there should be no shame. Also trying to get the message across that there should be no shame in anyone who engages in sex work. And who knows, maybe that's a possible debate that's trying to be conveyed of making sex work legal. I do think this movie creates a dialogue about that. And finally, I do think it's actually a movie about body positivity. Just being, comfortable in the skin that you're in, being comfortable in whatever type of body you have. There's a few beautiful scenes actually just about being proud of your own body in this movie. Emma Watson definitely shows some bravery, because I do feel like women at her age don't really engage in a lot of nudity. It's almost, I remember there was like this Saturday Night Live skit to where the whole punchline was like these female actors after a certain age, they are just no longer allowed to do sex scenes, or they're no longer allowed to have anything to do with nudity. So I feel like this movie, breaks those type of stereotypes or those type of unwritten rules, with Emma Watson enjoying her body, finally just enjoying her body, finally being comfortable in how her body is shaped. Once again, Emma Watson, despite her age and despite what people may think about her age and wanting to have sex, she is embracing, enjoying the idea of just having sex and enjoying it. So I think it's a very sex positive, body positive movie. If anyone, has ever struggled with some type of self-doubt in their own body, or, had like, some type of struggle with confidence when it comes with sex, especially if you're a woman, I do think this movie is for you. And once again, I apologize if that came off as if I'm trying to mansplain or anything like that. I just felt like it was an uplifting, empowering movie to anybody who can relate to that storyline. So nevertheless, love it or hate it, that's just my opinion. Peace.